You can take some Legos, 50 Legos, put them in a bag. You can shake them up 1,000,000 times. They will not build a house. Think about it. If you took them Legos, I don't care how long you do it.
Don't matter.
You won't build that house, right? And that's a simple thing to do. So now someone wants to tell us, human beings, with a big bang, everything came together perfectly to make us exist and life exist. So what started first? Did the toe start? Did the heart start? Can any of this stuff materialize and work by itself independently in our bodies? How in the world can we not be designed? How could we not have been created? How does everything work in harmony? It is by divine design.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Today for Tomorrow podcast. My name is Martel.
I'm Pastor Rod.
And today we are going to answer a question that in the Christian community, it seems pretty obvious, but in the general public in the world, it might be still a question. The question is God real?
What?
Yeah.
Why would anybody ask that question? No, I'm just messing with you, Martin. But anyway, man, you know, it's, first of all, we need to take this from somebody who don't know God first. Why would somebody even ask that question? Why?
Well, it's a good question to ask. And I think that's a good question to ask because some people, even people in the Christian community, I think we avoid that question. We're like, oh, well, you know, it's unbelief if I ask questions. But to me, I have to ask questions to understand things more.
Yeah.
So I ask those questions. Like, I really want to know, is God real? And then what makes God real to me? If I can't answer that, then I can't defend my faith to anybody else. I can't even defend it to myself.
Nah, you're right. I want to, something you said that I think worth digging into too as well, is that as Christians, sometimes if that question's asked, it's like we're not believers or we're doubters.
Right.
And, you know, I'm glad you mentioned it because in reality, we should question. Because when we question, we should go seek the answer, right?
100%.
So if we're not questioning, you know, certain things or what people say, we're taking it at face value and not, to your point, we're not able to defend it.
Exactly. You flimsy at that point.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. So it's like, because it's like, good example is this. Okay, I tell you, Martel, I give you a story and I say, hey, you know what? I can dunk. And then you go tell somebody, hey, Rodney can dunk. Then they go tell somebody, Rodney can dunk a basketball. But nobody ever saw me dunk a basketball.
No one's ever seen Rodney dunk.
You know, so the question is, somebody's going to say, can Rodney
really dunk?
Well, the answer is no, I can't dunk. But anyway,
spoiler alert.
don't have Rodney dunk a basketball. But the point, though, is that question, you need to verify for yourself so you can honestly go off and say with conviction, hey, I saw Rodney dunk the ball, or I didn't see him do it.
Exactly.
I think the same thing is true when we talk about is God real? We have to be able to answer that question.
So for you, if you ever did you ever ask yourself that question, and how did you go about finding the answer to it?
I did ask that question.
Okay.
And multiple times throughout my life, especially when I was younger, okay? You know, I knew what people told me. My mother made me go to church. No knock on my mom. She was a good mom, or is a good mom, I should say. But I'm sitting in church and I'm like, hey, okay. You know, and I'm just going through the motion, boom, 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 whatever. But I never really could say that God is real or not. You know what I mean? I didn't know. I didn't know. And as I got older, and even into teenage years, I always felt like, you know, God existed. But it was really when I had my lowest point in my life. And I was about 21. And I shared the story before, but I'm not getting into details. But the point is that's when I really I had to go to God, and I went to him because I remember listen to a message, and the preacher said you need to take everything to God. So I said, well, let me try God, and I did that. I got on my knees, I prayed. I didn't know how to pray. I didn't, and it just felt like this weight just got taken off of me. It just felt like somebody reached down and just took all this weight and pressure off me.
Gotcha.
And that's when I knew God was real. And then what he did after that just turned my life around.
So that experience lets you know that God showed up in your life right then and there.
Yeah, that was like me dunking a ball.
You finally dunked it.
Yeah,
that was the dunk.
That was the dunk. That was like God dunking the ball and saying, hey, I've been here all the time.
I could do it.
Yeah, what did you think?
You didn't think I could do it? Come on now.
Yeah, so that's when God became what I would call real in my life. When he became something that I knew that he existed, and I knew that he was with me.
That's interesting. So now there was actually this has come up a few times actually this year. I was asked, like, how did my faith walk start? Like, when did I start to believe in God? And I don't have this. I was homeless and I was eating out of trash cans and doing cocaine and then I prayed to God. No, I don't have that kind of stuff.
Wait, Martell, where'd that voice come from? But go ahead. All right.
So, because I was in the church. My mom and dad took me to church. I ended up in the choir, and then I just kept, they kept consistently keeping me in there, and I was studying. Well, I would read the word. I wouldn't say I was studying it at that point. Yeah. But I was looking at it. I understood, like, these are scriptures. Everybody believes that God is supplying all of our needs. Yeah. Great. And there wasn't like a point where, I just completely went left and then had to come back. It was more so just kind of a building relationship. Okay. So for me, like, and there was still, if you're building that relationship, there's still those questions. Yeah. Just like in like a relation interpersonally. Yeah. There's, you have questions that have to be answered. And if they're answered, then you start to build that relationship.
So what type of questions did you ask? Do you recall, I mean, and it might be here and there or whatever, but can you recall any questions that you was asking or had to search for?
It was the times where I asked a question and God showed up. So that it would be in the times where I was in track and field, where I was, I might be struggling at a practice or something small, something really light. And I'm like, you'll just put in a light prayer and then something immediately will happen. Or you go to church, you've been praying about something, and then you go to church and the answer is, the preacher says the exact thing. And almost like he's just talking to you. Yes, yeah. That you just prayed about. Okay. And so time after time after time, it's like, I don't need to, when someone asks me the question, is God real or am I a Christian? It's like, yes, I'm definitely a Christian. Can you tell, like you say God is real, okay, prove it. It's like, I can't prove it to you. I can't bring God in here and have him shake your hand, but it's almost like how the wind blows, you can see the trees moving, but you can't tell me you can see air.
No, you can't even see where it started.
You can't see where it started.
You don't even know where it's going.
You don't know where it's going, but you do know that there's something happening that's making those trees move. Yeah. And that's the same way I see God. Wow. It's like, I know he's real. I know it because I can see the effects of me when I pray and when other people pray and when we get together about it.
Man, that's deep. Actually, I like that. Yeah, that wind analogy is just right on point. And, and man, the thing too, like, listen to you talk, it makes me realize too that everybody who believes or who acknowledges that God is real has a different walk, right? Yeah, definitely. Like you said, so some people have, it's like me, like boom, I call it like a moment where God just knocked me down to the point where, I went to him finally. Where in your case, it was like, hey, it was always there. You never really resisted that. Yeah, it wasn't. But it was like a gradual thing. The thing would happen, and then you saw the confirmation.
Yeah, no, I saw the confirmation over and over again. And then, so this is the kicker though. I got to school and what I realized is, and I think I was kind of told about this a little bit. There was chatter about it.
Yeah.
When you go to college, they try to beat down religion. Like in some ways, you get into certain classes, whether it's a religion class, whether it's a science some sort of science class, they will pretty much just tell you like, no, it couldn't have possibly happened that way. There couldn't have been no God that put this together because this is the facts. Science says this and this and this and this, and you don't know because blah 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 blah. And it's like, wait a minute.
Pump your brakes.
New questions come up and new questions have to be answered. So when I walk into this class and I can see, and it's so dangerous, I can see how someone who might be a little bit shaky in their faith could completely turn away when they walk into that class.
Yeah.
Because that professor is smarter than that student.
Well, he is. He has more experience.
He has more experience. He has he has been in this situation before, and he has knocked somebody's faith off.
Yeah, and that's where, you hear the word apologetics, right? And we need to, as Christians, we need to be apologetic, meaning that we need to be able to defend our faith. So in that example, that professor is
merciless.
Yeah, exactly. And he's had years to kind of counter and make an argument. So you get somebody in there fresh who's already on.
And they was building their faith.
Exactly.
You just threw a stone at them.
I use myself as an example. See, you walked into that situation a whole lot stronger than I did when I was in college. I walked into it, straddling a line, doing, you know what I mean, already. So I'm looking for something to validate me doing.
Okay, gotcha.
Other thing, so that professor talking to me, I'm like, yeah,
You know what? You might be right.
You're right. Yep. I'm with you. And it's funny, how. So in your situation, you come in better prepared.
Well,
at least with the questions. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So when the questions came up, I didn't know the answer to it. Like I couldn't immediately say, "Wait a minute, no, homosexuality can't be something that's genetic." I don't have the backing. I didn't study this thing. I don't know the answer. But what I do know is what I've gone through for the last 18 years. So I know that I'm gonna say God, but there's something that is really backing me in my life.
I got you.
And you're telling me that there's no way that it's a God. You're telling me that that's not even possible. It's just a myth. It's just all this other stuff. But man, he's shown up so many times for me to just jump ship now. It would go against everything that I believed in to this point. So I have questions. I don't have the answer yet, but I'm not jumping ship.
I got you. So and I think for people who are out there listening to this today, because I know this is an ongoing battle.
Definitely.
And I think when you talk about what you went through and the questions you asked, because all that's legitimate, because we want to be, as humans, try to figure out things in our own brain, right? We want to be able to understand how God's done what he did.
Yeah. And I'm a logical person. I have to understand it, then give me the why, and then
break it down.
I'll be here for it.
Yeah. Well, I tell you this, I would say over the last, throughout the years, and I had a course, and they had us watch these videos, and they had scientists who were Christians, and they were scientifically proving that God exists.
Yeah.
Which I had never seen before, right? And it blew my mind because it gave me the ammunition I need to have that discussion. And what this individual, one of the examples they gave was this, and this is something I want everybody watching to think about this. You can take some Legos, 50 Legos, put them in a bag. You can shake them up 1,000,000 times. They will not build a house. Okay?
What?
I'm sorry, I bust your bubble. I'm sorry. Spoiler.
I was literally about to do that.
Spoiler. So if you're doing it 9,900 times already, stop. Okay?
You can't dunk, and I can't build a house.
No, just shake it up in your bag. You can't do it without, you can't. It just don't happen. So the point though is that, hey,
you gonna tell me Santa Claus ain't real either? Is that what you about to do?
I don't want to hurt you today.
I'm out of here.
But the thing is, think about it. If you took them Legos, I don't care how long you do it,
don't matter.
You won't build that house, right? And that's a simple thing to do. So now someone wants to tell us that human beings, with a big bang, everything came together perfectly to make us exist and life exist. So what started first? Did the toe start? Did the heart start? Can any of this stuff materialize and work by itself independently in our bodies.
That story never sat well with me, the whole Big Bang. It always was like, wait. So you're saying a big explosion happened, right? And then everything became ordered after that? Mm-hmm. Wait. The whole universe was an accident? Your science prove all of this, but that is what you having me believe right now.
Well, it could have been that or Thanos. I don't know.
We dropping all the gems in this one, y'all.
That's it. It could have been that or Thanos. I don't know. But anyway.
Is that or Thanos?
But the point though is like, you think about it though, man. It's like, how in the world can we not be designed? How could we not have been created? How does everything work in harmony? Mm-hmm. It is by divine design.
Divine design. But also, and see, another thing onto that is, well, one thing that happened in school, like continuing that story of, the questions came up and then I had to ask new questions and find answers to them. Then when I went home and, I really sat down and thought through everything I was praying about, I was looking in the Bible, I boiled it down to, at the very least, and look, this is not the most faithful answer, but it is the answer that kept it got me to the next question.
Okay.
It's like, okay, so even if this whole Christian thing, this whole Jesus and God thing isn't it, I know that when I read this book and I can see this is what a fool looks like, and this is what the diligent looks like. Uh-huh. And every time I do what it says the diligent does, good things happen. Mm-hmm. And when I pray and I listen to what this voice is, good things happen. So at the very least, I want to keep doing this. There's something about it. Because I also don't see nothing that says, fly a plane into a building and kill a bunch of people. I don't see beat your wife. I don't see any of that. No. It says love your neighbor as yourself. Is that not worth doing?
You know what? Man, I love the point you're making here. Because here's the thing. You say, in my mind, you're saying two things. One, you say, hey, if you follow the tenets of the Bible, good things will happen to you. Okay.
It's flat out. It's this and that.
And I have never proven, it's not a scientific proof, nothing like that, but what you just said as well, too, is that at the very least, try it.
Try it.
It's not going to hurt you. It's going to help you.
I boil this thing down and I'm like, okay, so you're telling me that this is all fake, and you're saying that there's these other religions who have similar ideologies and everything, and then I hear that, I was in a religion class and they were telling me about these other religions, but I'm like, this whole Christianity thing seems like if everybody, because I like to put it in this scenario, okay, so if everybody did this, would the world be better or worse?
Okay, all right.
And so it's like, okay, if everybody loved each other as themselves, if everybody was generous, if everybody was kind to one another, patient with one another, if everybody just continuously were forgiving, if everybody focused on their craft and continued to build, if everybody just trusted in something that was greater than themselves, if everybody was just selfless, would the world be better or worse?
Wow. Wow. Hey.
So, Professor, you smart. You real smart, but I'm gonna have to go with the God thing.
And then you know what? That professor put the formula on the board. Work that out. What's the answer you get? It's serious. It's in a way, not in a way. It really is common sense, if you really want to think about it. And let's talk about this for a moment. And we touched on it too. What gets in the way of people admitting that God is real? What gets in the way? Because, let's think about that. And I'll start with myself a little bit, right? What got in the way for me thinking that God was real? Because I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I didn't want to believe that I would be punished for doing those bad things. I didn't want to believe that I would die and go to heaven for doing wrong.
Yeah.
I wanted to do what Rodney wanted to do. And when I finally realized God was real, I had to understand I need to do what God wanted to do. So I think one of the barriers is a desire to live the world, live life the way you want to live it.
Be the most comfortable.
Yeah.
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 Just doing whatever you feel like doing is easy to do. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's, I guess, the most pleasurable in some cases.
Well, is it? I mean, it's
temporarily.
Yeah, yeah. I'm about to say,
short term.
It is because in the end, it's empty.
It's not a long term strategy.
It's not. It's almost like a drug. It's a quick fix.
Like, yeah, you might like donuts, and you could, you might like to eat donuts
why are you
for
talking
breakfast.
about? Why are you talking? I know I need to lose some weight. This ain't it.
Don't let him fool you. He's been in the gym.
Yeah, but I've been eating donuts too. But yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
One thing, so on that question, I can see what you're talking about. It makes me think of the story of the seed and the sower.
Okay.
Mark 4, Matthew 13.
Okay.
But another thing too is, before I get into that, is the question, the most, I think it's one of the most common questions that I hear that really shakes people, and it's why do good things happen to bad, or why do bad things happen to good people? Okay, if there's a God who loves all of us, then why would bad things happen to good people? If you claim that God is real and he loves us, why would this happen? Like, how could he possibly let 9/11 happen if there's a God that loves us?
Yeah, I heard that. Yep.
And they're like, well, there can't possibly be a God. My case is closed. The whole universe was an accident.
Yeah.
Really?
But and I mean, let's play with that argument for a minute.
Let's play.
So
Let's do it.
someone says that. How does that prove that?
It don't.
I know. I'm just saying.
It don't relate.
There's no connection there.
Now, also, so on that question, because I had to figure this. I had to figure out an answer for myself.
Okay.
Not to go out and argue, but to figure it out for myself. So, why do bad things sometimes happen to good people? After I read Proverbs and Ecclesiastes, I was led to the book of Job.
Okay. Ooh, okay.
In the book of Job, not Job.
Not job.
In the book of Job, there was a man.
But they are spelled the same. But go ahead.
Right.
All right.
There was a man doing he was doing the right things. He was living his life. He was living the Christian life. He was doing it.
Yeah.
And things were going really well for him. He was prospering.
Yes.
And then in heaven, there was a conversation between God and Satan. And Satan is like, well, I think he's only doing it for this reason and that reason.
Yep.
And I don't think he's going to still believe in you if this happens to him, if he loses his stuff.
Yep.
And God's like, okay. And then stuff was taken away from him. And so you're going to have to read Job for yourself.
Yeah.
And then after he ended up losing all of his stuff, and his life just seemed like it was in shambles, and then his friends was trying to convince him, like, well, you must have did something wrong, and blah blah blah, and he just couldn't understand why all these things were happening, because he had done so many things that were good in his life.
Yeah.
And then God actually spoke to this man and said, pretty much, you weren't there when everything was created.
Now, and add one more piece in there. That's when Job was like, kind of question God.
He finally got to the point where he had to question God. Yeah. And then God was like, you weren't there. You don't know all of the things that are happening right now.
Yes.
You were not there in the beginning when all this was put together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can't question me. You don't qualify.
Oh man. That statement right there is one that I think that every Christian needs to burn in their head. Is that who are we? That whole example you gave with Job is like perfect. 'Cause who are we to question God?
Who are we to question God?
And he's the creator. He's over things. But we want to understand, Lord, why you do A, B, C, and D. And going back to your original point about why bad things happen to good people, 9/11, Hurricane Katrina, all these different things. We can never know in full detail why God do what he do. We don't.
We won't.
And we also need to realize that there's a penalty for being out of alignment with God.
There's some generational penalties too.
There are. And when we look at the environment, we look at things that's going on, God does what he do for a reason. It's not for us to know every little minuscule reason why he do something. And I remember when you talk about that, a baby, I've had a niece, she was only 6 months. And this happened, over 20-some years ago. she passed in her sleep. And I remember my other nieces and nephews who were about maybe 10 or 11 at the time. And they were like, why did God allow this to happen? Why would God do this? And I remember it was the hardest conversation I ever had with them because I was asking the same questions. I was asking the same thing. But then the Spirit came to me just clear as day saying because it was her time. And that was clear to me that things happen in His time for His reasons.
Mm-hmm. He's the only one who can actually see the big picture because he made it.
Yeah.
And so we have this very small, narrow view of what reality is. We only can see, in front of us and things that we experience, and we have a very small role in this ginormous picture.
Yeah.
We're put in a specific point in time, and we are here for specific things to do.
Yeah.
But we don't know how many people we affect when we shoot an episode like this.
Yeah.
We don't know what happens after we donate to somebody. We don't know all of that.
Yeah.
He just told us we need to follow what He said to do.
Trust
and
him.
He's entrusting what He's got for us and everybody else.
Yes, exactly. And that real piece, like you said, when you get confirmation when He talks to you and then something happened or someone comes in, you're like, oh, wow. But, and you and I have had those discussions before where it's like, or something happened, it's like, oh, that ain't nothing but God.
And we got.
And so God being real really starts with the individual. I mean, if we don't let God into our world, we don't allow and open the door, because God ain't gonna knock the door down. We have to invite Him in. We have to invite the Holy Spirit in to reside in us. Otherwise, we're kind of like in a dome, shielded from even knowing.
Yeah.
And it's self-denial too, because the Word even talks about the fact that existence itself, and we started with this, everything we see around us is an example of what God has done.
Everybody's trying to figure out why everybody's trying to have some sort of authority over their situation, and everybody's trying to find some sort of meaning for what they're doing. And the meaning, you can't find meaning if there was nothing to start it. There was nothing that created you. If there was nothing that put things together, then you don't have a meaning.
You're right.
So that was another thing that I had to think about, because I'm like, okay, so the professor says this, but if the Big Bang is real and everybody is an accident, then so I don't matter. Nothing that I do matters.
Wow.
If nobody's life matters, why? We're just here to satisfy what we're doing right now, or is that it?
Yeah, no, you're right.
No big picture.
There's
here.
no purpose.
I'm talking to myself in my dorm room, and I'm thinking like, so this professor actually believes that he was an accident and his life has no meaning. So all the things that he puts together is just for him and his immediate family, but there's no bigger picture. There's nothing that's actually happening. It doesn't matter if he, saves 1,000 lives or kills 1,000 people, because nobody matters.
No.
I wouldn't want to live like that.
No, that as you say that, and it's living life without a real purpose. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's living life with a purpose that's finite. Okay, you know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is that when you live that, it's like, okay, my purpose is to save this, or to build this, or to do this. But once you're gone, that's it. What have you really done? What have you really left? Your life has been pretty much leading to a dead end at some point.
You've been, just like they say, just a ball of dust floating out in the universe.
Yes. And man, so, and I guess, and I don't, when you talk about is God real, and as we kind of get to the point to kind of wrap this up a little bit, but God is real. We gave some tangible examples about the Big Bang versus, that's not feasible. And if you think it is, get some Legos and try to
do any sort of just big act, and then see if it just puts a bunch of order, a universe together.
Exactly. And for those who haven't, I really suggest that you just try God. And what I mean by try Him, it's really just have a conversation. And like Martell said, let Him talk to you and let Him direct your life. And I think you gave a perfect direction too. Just do what the Bible says.
Literally just do it.
And see what happens.
See what happens.
What you think, man? What would you leave with the people as far as if God is, is God real?
Is God real? I think Christians need to find answers for it.
Mm-hmm.
And stop running away from the question because your faith.
No, you need to say it again. I mean, not running away from it.
Don't run away from the question. Don't run away from the tough questions, because if you run away from the tough questions, then your faith is going to be shaky. So when something real happens to you, how can you stand on something that you can't even defend in your own mind?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Especially when you're around the people closest to you. Because I got friends who straight up will, they used to debate me, and I used to try to win them over. And then I realized that I'm solid in what I believe. I don't have to win you over. I don't even have to win the debate, because I'm like, you talk. And here's the difference. I was like, look, I trust what's in the Bible. Mm-hmm. What do you trust?
What do you trust?
Yeah, and if we're not talking from the same foundation, then it's not even talking. It's a waste of words. It's like reading two different books.
And then, that was to the Christian community. And then for the people who are not Christians or thinking about it, considering or think that the universe is doing something for them, this big accident is doing something for them, or even the people who think that the moon will let you know who you're gonna fall in love with.
Stop.
This just sounds crazy to me.
I hadn't heard that one, but all right. Oh, the moon's out. That's my wife. But
there it is. I'm gonna feel bad today, or I'm gonna get into an argument with somebody.
Yes.
Those, I don't even know the signs, but it's like Leo, and
Leo. Get to your point. You don't even know the side. We're gonna get you a horoscope.
But the thing is, if you, and I've said this on, if you've listened to Freedom in Christ message.
Okay.
If you feeling lost, you're feeling low, you're feeling like you don't know what to do, you're feeling like your life ain't got a real meaning or purpose to it, if you're not feeling fulfilled in the things that you do, why not try Jesus?
Amen. But as you were saying that, it sounded like you was about to get into a song. But you're right. Why not try Jesus? Why not?
Why not? Because it's like, okay, so you don't believe in nothing. You don't believe that there's no God or anything. Okay. But, read through Proverbs, do what it says the diligent says, and then don't do what it says the fool says. And let me just know what your results.
You know what?
At the very least.
I think that's the challenge we leave with everybody with today. That's the challenge.
That's the challenge.
Try
Jesus. This has been the Today for Tomorrow podcast. My name is Martel.
Pastor Rod.
And we hope to see y'all next week.
Peace.